Hello, friends and neighbors. I'm back. It's been a little while. I'll tell you why in just a minute. But first, let's start with my story. Early in my career, I had to call a parent about a kid who was sleeping in my second block class. And when I called that parent, she lost it, like immediately lost it at me. And I was like, whoa, what is going on here? I mean, I was just calling to let you know that he's been sleeping the last few days, and I'm, seeing if there's anything going on, what's wrong. I'm not, he's not in trouble. I just want to figure this out. And then she burst into tears on the phone, and she was like, his first block teacher just called me because he was bouncing off the walls. And she said that he's ADHD. They're trying a new medication. So first block, the medicine was not kicked in, and the teacher was calling because he was out of control. And by the time he got to me, second block, his medication was kicked in and he was asleep. And he was also getting in trouble for that. So that was a great lesson for me about kids who have to go to school and deal with their ADHD in a school environment. Because it's tough, and I didn't understand it. I ended up calling that parent back and hearing more about her journey and their process and what this was all about, because I didn't know anything about. I mean, I'd heard of Ritalin, but I didn't know anything about this really. So I, like so many other things, had to educate myself and learn about this thing that was going on in this kid's brain and what this family was experiencing. I had no idea. I also have always been a very active person my whole life, with a lot of energy. People always have said to me, how do you have all the energy to do all those things? And I would always respond back with a, like a little wink, like, ha ha ha, unmedicated ADHD, of course, right? So that was my little joke. I'd never pursued it. So I did actually pursue that. At 51 years old, after going through that journey with a family member being diagnosed, they looked at me and said, maybe you should think about talking to your doctor. I did talk to my doctor, and I kind of laughed and was like, hey, now that we've got my cholesterol and my high blood pressure under control, this person thinks that I might have ADHD. What do you think? And my doctor's response was, you think? I was so busted. So that started my journey with my own exploration of how to manage my ADHD, and that includes for me medication, which I haven't been able to get since December of 2023, which is why you haven't seen very much of me. When I don't have that medication, I use every ounce of my energy and motivation to get through my workday, and then by the time I get home, I got nothing left. I certainly don't have much creativity left. I don't have much of anything that feels worth sharing with anybody else. So I've been a little AWOL for a couple months. Today, I managed to get my medication again. The shortages in the supply chain have kind of picked up a little bit, and I also was able to move to a different pharmacy who has a more consistent supply. But let me tell you, that process of finding the medication and getting it prescribed, and, mine is a controlled substance. It's a stimulant, so it's tough to get. There's a process, and it's complicated, and it's one that seems somehow sadistically built to be almost impossible for people with ADHD to get. It involves calling your doctor every single month for a new prescription, having it sent over, calling the pharmacy, having, them asking them to fill it, making sure that they have it. If they don't have it, then waiting. And if you can't wait, they're going to be off of it for too long, or they're going to be withdrawal. and remembering to call on the right days to not have breaks in your medication, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculously difficult. Again, particularly if you are someone who struggles with executive function. So all of that has been readily apparent in my life, in my home life and in my school life. And I am very transparent with my students about where I am because I want them to be transparent with me. So when I couldn't get my medication anymore, I told my classes, I was like, listen, I don't have my ADHD meds right now. And so I'm probably going to be a little more scattered than I usually am, probably sometimes less motivated than I usually am. And if I'm short with you, I certainly don't mean to be. And if I am, I'm very likely to come right back to you a few minutes later and apologize if that happens. So I just wanted to let you know ahead of time. I teach teenagers, and of course, all it takes is a sideways look from me and they're crushed and I ruined their day. So I always want them to know it's not them. They appreciate that so much. I cannot tell you the amount of trust, street cred I get just from being transparent about my own mental health journey and struggles. My students are so grateful to have a teacher who understands what they go through. So many of them struggle with similar things. So when I started teaching 20 years ago, the daily advice was, keep yourself separate. Don't get too involved. Don't show your emotions, blah, 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 blah. But I've not found that to be the right way to draw the line of professionalism. That, for me, cut off access to compassion. Me for my students and my students for me. I need them to see me as human, and I need to see them as human. Flaws and anxiety and ADHD and all. So today I was able to get my meds back. I cried right in the face of my new pharmacist. So that's how that relationship started. But she was kind, not like my last pharmacist who I avoided. I didn't even go back there because they made me feel like, I don't know, bad. I didn't feel like they cared, and I didn't feel like I mattered, and I felt like I was wrong and bad for needing help. If my pharmacist can make me feel that way, what must it feel like for a student who must deal with an adult in their learning environment who can't have that kind of sensitivity and compassion for them? Of course they can't learn if that's the case. So I encourage you to be transparent when and where you can with your students about your own life journey, whatever that might include, whatever you're comfortable with. I don't think presenting ourselves as, teacher-trons is the way to go. So I hope I'll see you more soon, since I have my brains back. Between me and my students, we call it doo-doo brain. So I'm happy to leave that little phase behind, and I'm excited to go to school this week and feel productive, feel like myself. I wish you all, as always, peace in your mind, peace in your thoughts, peace in your words, peace in your heart, and peace in your classroom. Have an awesome week.